Hey guys, we're here on another episode of Listen Up. There's a lot to talk about this week, guys. There's a lot been going on with dirty hits and what it has done to the game and what it will do in the future. We also got playoff scenarios. We're also talking about the Pats dynasty and how you'll never see it again. And obviously, tonight's game. So let's get started. All right, first I want to talk about Thursday Night Football, where we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the New Orleans Saints. Atlanta Falcons are fighting for a playoff spot, and the New Orleans Saints are fighting to get the first place spot. This is going to be a great game. It will. It will be a hard-fought battle. I thought New Orleans' defense is a huge surprise this year. I don't think anyone expected their defense to be as potent as they are now. I think we can all agree on that. And Atlanta has been a huge disappointment. I said it in the beginning of the year, which was one of the things I was right about, is Atlanta's a roller coaster. It really is. They're so inconsistent. If you were to bet on Atlanta, I wouldn't. Because you don't know what they're going to do week to week, year to year. And the reason why I'm so excited about this game is because Atlanta knows that they're fighting for a playoff spot. I think they're going to come out very strong. And New Orleans knows that they're better as a home field advantage team. If they can maintain that home field advantage throughout the playoffs, instead of having to travel to Minnesota or having to travel somewhere else, having to travel to Philly. Imagine the Philly fans at Link Field this year for the playoffs if they are in the second or first place seed. Those fans are going to go absolutely insane. So that's going to be tough for them. So I think they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said, I don't want to bet on Atlanta. However, they've been playing extremely well these last 3 or 4 weeks. But I'm going to go with New Orleans Saints. And the reason why I think so is I think with Kamara and Ingram, I think those two are going to handle the ball. They're going to run on that defense. And I don't think Atlanta will be able to stop it. So I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints by 7. All right, we're on to the next topic. So this was mentioned by Colin Cowherd, who I listen on a daily basis. And people call him a Patriots homer and think that he loves LeBron. But constantly, on his grill. However, he is correct about one thing about the Patriots. And I was talking to a friend that I work with today about this. You will never see a dynasty like the Patriots have had in the last decade and a half that we've seen. I'm from Boston. I'm a diehard Pats fan. And I always tell my friends this when they go out and they boast about how great they are. And, we like to shove it down people's throats. Pats fans are spoiled. We are. We've been very spoiled. We got lucky with a coach. We got lucky with a 6th-round draft pick in Tom Brady. Think about the free agent era. Take away Bill Walsh for a minute. Take away Don Shula. Take away Chuck Noll. Put those guys to the side a little bit. They didn't have a free agency era. They didn't have salary cap. Let me ask you something. That San Francisco 49ers team that won the Super Bowl with Deion Sanders, Joe Montana, Charles Haley, Dwight Clark, Roger Craig as running back, Jerry Rice. Do you think those guys could have maintained just Deion Sanders' salary? No. No, they could not. Let alone Joe Montana's at the time. Okay? Imagine what the Patriots have done with how many Hall of Famers they've had. I could probably name you 2 or 3, depending on if Rodney Harrison gets selected or not. Randy Moss probably will get selected this year. That was probably the only one besides Tom Brady. You can make a case for Teddy Bruschi. You can make a case for Richard Seymour. But who on the offensive end has Tom Brady thrown to that's going to be a sure Hall of Famer? And that's because the free agent and salary cap era has changed to where you have to understand when to let go and when to hold on to a guy, when to not pay and when to pay the man. That's why I like it so much. And that's why I think Bill Belichick has risen above some of the other coaches. And it's incredible. And Pats fans are spoiled. We'll never see this again. And people take it for granted because of Spygate or because of what they've done in the past or because of their history with may or may not deflating footballs. Stop. Just stop, guys. If you think Tom Brady was that ignorant to walk around with a gauge saying, that's not 12 or 13 PSI, you need to lower that down, we're not going to win the game, you're ignorant. So just understand what you're seeing. If you're a respectful football player and you've played football before, or if you've watched the game, you will understand on how great this run has become. 17 plus years of dominance. And I'm not saying they're in the strongest division. I'm not saying they're in the strongest conference because they know that they're not. They know that they are not in the strongest division or have the strongest competition. But I'm saying you will never see another program like this in the National Football League again. All right, we're on to our next topic, guys. Playoff scenarios. And this is a good one. Playoff scenarios are crazy. This year has been a fluctuate of different teams we haven't seen before. Jacksonville Jaguars, Philadelphia Eagles. I think the whole NFC playoff teams that are the starting four right now that are leading their conference weren't even in the playoffs last year. Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Saints. These teams, you're starting to see what programs have been built for the long run and what programs have been built for just now. Okay? Where I want to start with this first, because the last topic I want to get into in more detail. Before we get into this, you look at a team like Green Bay. Without Aaron Rodgers, they're not even a playoff team. And you see what that organization has built around a great quarterback. They need to wake up and start helping that man out. Start getting the talent around him. Because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be in this league as long as people want him to. He's a scrambling quarterback. He gets hit on more plays than, let's say, a pocket passing quarterback. So they need to start realizing the pieces that they have around Aaron Rodgers. All right. But we look at what the Philadelphia Eagles have done. I was totally wrong about that division, guys. I said the Giants were going to be number one. They're not. And honestly, I don't know what it was in that organization. They had the same exact team that they did last year, and they couldn't make the playoffs. It was a disaster. Then they benched Eli. It's just a crazy situation that is unexplainable. Whether it's you blame the top of the organization, you blame the players. You can blame everybody, honestly. To the owner, to the coach, to the players. They just gave up. And that's disappointing. And Philadelphia Eagles exploited that. And they're well-rounded. Now, they're not going to be able to pay everybody on that defense and probably not going to be able to pay everybody on that offense here in the next 3 or 4 years. But if you look at the talent level and the age that team has, they're going to be good for a very long time. Especially with Carson Wentz on the helm. I knew the Eagles were going to be this good. I just didn't know that they were going to be this good this soon. Now we're going to flash over to the AFC, guys. Okay, that doesn't have that much talent. That's struggling right now. We see the Kansas City Chiefs were 5-0. They've lost 5 of their last 6 or their 6 of their last 7. They have tanked. Everyone thought Alex Smith was going to be MVP. He hasn't shown me anything. Now, I don't want to blame all of it on Alex Smith because I know that's incorrect. You look at the play calls that Andy Reid was doing before this, during that run, that 5-0 run, and you look at the play calls that he's been doing now, they were letting him go. They were letting him fling the ball. And now they're going back to their short intermediate game. Go back to what you know. Let him take a game over. And then that defense just has a ton of issues. Ton of issues. All right, let me know what you guys think about some of the playoff scenarios. I think Jacksonville is going to surprise a lot of people, okay? I mean, maybe Tennessee in the wild card, but I think Jacksonville is going to be the surprising team out of the AFC, okay? I think the Steelers, with all the stuff that they've been going through right now, hopefully they can bounce back and become at least a fight against the Patriots, if that's what everyone thinking the AFC Championship's going to be. However, we know how the playoffs go. It's an any given Sunday, and I think Jacksonville, if Blake Bortles can play to the way we know he can, it's going to be a surprising playoff run. All right, we're going to my last topic, which is probably the most important of the day. The dirty hits that's been going on, guys. Now, this happened 2 weeks ago. I saw Ndamukong Suh step on a guy, and I said, oh, man, this is happening again. And more so lately, maybe it's just this year, but we're seeing more things, and I'm going to put this in quotation marks, being called as a dirty hit. Now, Gronkowski's hit. Okay, and before I get going, Shannon Sharp and Undisputed wanted to add race into this. Okay, we need to stop adding race into sports. Okay, whether you're white, black, brown, green, or blue, if you make a dirty play like Gronkowski's hit was dirty, in my opinion, you should have got more than 2 games. But that's just my opinion. That was a dirty hit. And Ndamukong Suh stepping on somebody. How many times has Ndamukong Suh gotten away? If you guys want to use the race card, how many times have Ndamukong Suh done a mistake and have only gotten fined and hasn't got suspended? And that isn't an African-American male. I think he's been suspended once. Other than that, it's just fines. How many times has Vontae Burfict should be out of the league by now? But yet he's still in the league, still playing. We want to use that race card. The reason why I want to go on this topic, it's not a talk about, race and color and the type of hits. The dirty hits compared to cheap shots and compared to football plays, as Ray Lewis likes to describe. Ray Lewis has a great thing on Undisputed, and I was going to play it, but I don't have that much time. He said that the game is in trouble, and it is. The football game that I once grew up in, and, your dads grew up in, or your parents grew up in, that football era is leaving. Mike Mitchell said a thing today on an interview, and I hate the Steelers, but when you listen to him speak, it's the truth, especially if you played football before. Look it up on YouTube, look it up on social media. He talks about how when you're a football player and you have to worry about hits, that's dangerous. If you have to worry about the hits that you're doing as a player, you could possibly injure yourself. And people don't realize that. You're putting yourself on the line when you start worrying about the hits that you do. It's almost like when you get a concussion. After you get a concussion, you come back and you worry about the type of hits that you have. Oh man, should I hit this guy right now? What do I do? That's going to cause not only mistakes to injure yourself, but you could injure your teammates as well. Football is a fluid game. You don't think, you react. Is there thinking involved? Yes. But when you start worrying about every little inch and move you make, that's when people get hurt. And that's what's happening to this game. We look at the legends of the game, guys. The fearsome foursome when the LA Rams back in the 60s and the 70s. Okay? We look at, Dick Butkus. We look at Paul Krause. We look at Ronnie Lott. We look at Sean Taylor. We look at Ray Lewis. We look at all these guys who have been, we look at John Lynch. All of these guys have been a huge portion or part of this game. We look at John Randall, Mean Joe Green, all these people that set the tone. And we're taking that away from the game. If you really want to, and the crazy thing about this is the NFL doesn't have a specific suspension. They just suspend people. If they want to do this, why don't they just put flags on the guys and say, hey, go play flag football? It's ridiculous. All right, guys. I got 10 seconds left in the show, so that's all I have for right now. I'm going to leave you guys off on a cliffhanger. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I missed. Comment below. And you guys have a great rest of your day.